Hello, it is Saturday. I don't see any indication of volume, so give me a moment. Let's try this again. Hello, I still see no indication of volume. Hello again. I don't see any indication of volume. Okay, that's very good because I'm not seeing any indicator on this end. Anyway, let's continue on. Brother Walker says he can hear me. Hello again. It is Saturday, February 5th, 2022, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Welcome to Church Talk Unlimited with James Paul Berry. Thank the Most High for keeping us from day to day, through us from day to day. Thank Marquise James Howard Allen for technical support on the Church Talk Unlimited channel. Thank NDTL Records for financial support. Thank Google for this YouTube channel. Thank you in Oregon, Alabama, California, Georgia, Texas, and wherever you are. Thank you for your support. On this channel, I search for the truth, whatever that is, knowing that truth may not be pleasant, but it's good, knowing that truth may not be pretty, but it's beautiful, and knowing that the truth will help us, all of us, any of us, if we allow it. On this channel, I also speak on behalf of the poor people of the world, especially the poor people in the churches throughout the world. And I speak in the sense that they need support from these churches that they have supported most or all of their lives. Today, we are talking about the question, did people have principles before the Bible? Did people have principles before the Bible? And after my talk, we're going to go to the chat, to the live chat, and see what people have to say about this question. Did people have principles before the Bible? Did people behave in a civilized manner before the Bible? And the reason I'm asking this is because most of the time when I hear any type of debate about good and evil, the common denominator is the Bible. So we're going to prove today whether or not there was civilization or civilizations that had principles, who lived by principles even before there was a Bible. The Bible teaches, prove all things, Hold fast that which is good. Examine everything that you're taught and hold on to that part that is true. And this should be no different than what is being said in the Bible. You should listen to me and to any preacher or teacher and examine. Don't just listen and accept and nod your head and go on, but examine, prove, test the things that I say. And if they're good, if they're stable, if they're true, if they are just, if they are righteous, hold on to those teachings. The Oxford Desk Dictionary and Thesaurus says concerning principle that principle is the fundamental truth or law as the basis of reason or action. Webster's College Dictionary says that moral ethics is the science of moral judgment and conduct. Basically the same thing. The Oxford Desk Dictionary and Thesaurus says about a heathen and a pagan as being a person or persons that follow a polytheistic or pantheistic religion, a non-religious person, a person who is a heathen, does not have principles or ethics or morals, and that person is also sometimes in the dictionary called a Gentile. Did people have principles before the Bible? I know the whole world should have some response to this question. Were there people on the earth behaving as civilized beings before the Bible? And of course, the answer is yes, from you and from me. And part of that story is written in stone. Hieroglyphics is what the modern name is. And from what I've learned from videos from some of my teachers, the proper name would be Metanetta, which is the writings that are on some of the temple walls, tomb walls in Egypt, ancient Kemet, in Ethiopia, in Sudan, and in the Cairo Museum, and in many museums around this earth. There are writings that came out of ancient Kemet long before the Bible. And we're going to take our time on this subject because there's so much to cover. We've been hoodwinked and bamboozled for so long that there's no way we can catch up all at once. But we are on the starting path. We are on the path to truth, to freedom, if we are interested in truth, regardless of where you are right now, whatever organization you're in. But if you are a person who is seeking truth, don't feel bad. You are on the right path. Did people have principles before the Bible? Of course they did. In ancient Kemet, according to, and I have not physically seen any of these writings, any of these hieroglyphics, but I've seen videos of them from some of my teachers, and if it's God's will, I am going to see them within the next 12 months, if it's God's will. But on one of the temples there is drawings of the goddess Mayat, who is called the goddess of justice and love, and the goddess Mut. And civilization along the Nile River had many different civilizations, many different cultures from time to time, but they all had some form of spirituality, some principles that governed them. There was an Ethiopian church that existed 150 years before Rome experienced Christianity. And if you know your history, your religious history, it wasn't until 325 AD that Constantine decided to put an end to the disorder that was going on in the Catholic Church, and he called the bishops together, and they decided on what they were going to put in the Bible after they had their council, and then they came out with the creed, what we call the Nicene Creed, and there were other councils And what they were doing in these councils, they came together to decide what the church was going to be allowed to teach and believe. And if you went against those beliefs, you would be called a heretic. You would be called one who preached heresy, and you could lose your life based on what the Catholic Church had to say. Did people have principles before the Bible? Of course they did. But why are these people called heathens and pagans? Why is their work considered less than the work, especially of the Europeans and those that follow them in Christendom, not in Christianity, but those who follow them in Christendom? If these people who created these great works, these great buildings, these great statues, and had these great civilizations that were civilized and organized, if they were able to do all of those great things back then, even some things that we are not even able to do now, why are they called heathens and pagans? And those who have waged war in the name of Christ for hundreds of years are called Christians. Certainly people had principles and they lived by those principles, and it is written down in stone. But as I was preparing this lesson, and as I said, I don't want to talk too long on this because this is going to be some new information for some people, and a lot of the information is new to me. But when I look at what all those people did back then, and how Alexander and Napoleon, who came into that area, destroyed some of the facial features of those uh, statues that they had erected, these people who certainly had principles. If these people were as advanced as we are today, or more so, why are they called heathens? And those who have destroyed much of what they built, those who have stolen from them, and they are called Christians. Why is that? And I don't know if you know, but in almost every museum, every famous museum on this earth, they have African artifacts. Well, if those people who created what is called the pyramids and the obelisk and the Ankh and all those different things, if they were heathens, why would the Christians want any type of artifact that was made by them? The question is, did people have principles before the Bible? And the reason I say it is because usually when we want to ask the question of what's right or wrong for human beings to do, we run to the Bible. We know that the Muslims go to the Quran, and we know that the Jews go to the Torah. But I'm talking about writings that can be verified, that can be confirmed, that can be validated to be at least 4,000 years before most writings, 150 years before there was any talk of Jesus or Moses or others. So I ask you to join me in this quest, join me in this proclamation that yes, there were people who lived by principles long before there was a Bible. As a matter of fact, many of the symbols, many of the principles that we use right now came from those people long before the birth of Christ, long before there was any type of Judaism, any type of Christendom, and any type of Islam. I'm going to stop right here, and we're going to have a live chat conversation. Right now, I don't see anybody on the line with Brother Willie and Brother Dunny, and I want to hear from you guys. Let me see what you've already said. Brother Walker says, yes, the Sumerians had and lived by principles. Principles are routines within our daily lives, how we dress, walk, and talk in our own way. Life was vibrant way before the Bible. African natives had principles for hunting. Yes, you have volume. Oh, okay. Thank you, Brother Walker. Loud and clear. My brother Willie says, hey, brother, not feeling well, but to God be the glory. You're not alone, brother. I was just blessed by a visit from my main man and grandson, Jaden. God bless you. I know how it is to get a visit from those grandchildren. Man, they pump you up. It's so wonderful. I want to know what you guys have to say about my question rather, about did people have principles? Did they live by principles? Or were they like some professors write that these people were nothing but heathens, pagans? Matter of fact, the Pope settled an argument between Spain and I can't remember the other country, but the Pope settled a dispute between two countries and he wrote a papal bull that allowed them to enslave anybody who did not embrace Christianity. But it was not Christianity, it was Christendom. Anybody who will not embrace what the Christian church was putting out or selling, they would be killed many times, or they would have to leave the country that they were in and go somewhere else. And so I'm asking, based on history, not based on the Bible itself, because I know we have a habit of confirming the Bible with the Bible. But I'm asking us to look at some outside sources, some external sources that existed thousands of years before the Bible, where there was the principles of Mayat, and I believe it was 147, and some of those were, I did not kill my brother today. I did not steal from my brother. I did not covet my brother's sister, my brother's wife. I did not lie on my brother. These principles existed long before the Bible that started to be compiled around 325 AD. So I'm saying, yes, there were principles that people lived by, and whether we accept it or not, we are still living by some of those principles. Let me see what the brothers are saying. Statues, buildings, art, construction, designs were found and still available before the Bible. Europeans have lied about the African heritage, accomplishments way before the Bible. Shalom. Thank you, Brother Donnie. And there are many evidences that people have lied. Like I said, I haven't been to the temple myself because I am just now coming into the light of a lot of knowledge, but I want to share it as much as I can before it's my time to pass on. But as I said earlier, if God blesses me, I'm going to go to ancient Kemet and I'm going to see the writings on the wall myself. I've seen videos where there were scenes of the Immaculate Conception. There were scenes of the resurrection from the dead. There were scenes of the Heru and Aset and Asa. There were scenes of the Ark of the Covenant. Thousands of years before any of these stories were written in the Bible, there are places in ancient Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan, and in most of the most famous museums on this planet, there's evidence that there were many principles that people lived by long before there was a Bible. And I'm looking at the Bible and I'm not putting the Bible down. I think the Bible is one of the finest books I've ever read, but all of the information is not there. And according to some, there are over 500 books that could have been included, but the things were included to get across the perspective of the Catholic Church, beginning with the head of the Catholic Church at the time, which would have been Constantine in 325 AD. And they had successive councils and successive creeds that came out of those councils and out of the Catholic Church. And many of the things, even the statues of Mary and supposedly the baby Jesus, which came from ancient cultures, which some call the Black Madonna, existed in Egypt, in ancient Kemet, long before the Bible. Well, what does that mean to us today, now that we have spent most of our lives? Some of us have spent all of our lives coming to church. Some of us were coming to church in our mother's womb, and I know I was, and I know probably most of you were in the generation that I come from, because pregnant women came to church until they couldn't come anymore. But what about now? You know that there's information that say there were people who were living by principles long before there was a Bible. And we go to church most of our lives. I'm 70 years old. I've been going to church most of those 70 years, and I've been a member most of those 70 years, an active member most of those 70 years. And out of all of that time, no one in the church ever told me that there was anything spiritual written among men outside of the Bible and long before the Bible. Those people had all kinds of things going on in their civilization. They had leaders. There's some of them, of course, they had slaves, and we try to make it all right when we look at slaves by the United States, but it's not the same thing. And even if it was, slavery to me is wrong in any culture. Principles of God does not allow us to enslave people and mistreat people, but that's another story. But these people had leaders, these people had schools, these people taught other nations about medicine and about astronomy and about astrology and about farming and about many other things. They even had electricity thousands of years ago. They had running water long before there was a nation in Rome or in Greece. But yet we hold on and we go to school, and I've been to school, and now we want to interpret the Bible from a Greek perspective. We want to interpret the Bible from a Hebrew perspective. But what about that perspective that existed long before the Bible, long before there was a church? And I know we say, well, I'm not a Catholic, but Catholic means universal. And when the Pope is deciding what we use to identify God and to have a relationship with God, regardless of what we call the church, is still under the Pope's authority. Were there people who had principles, who lived by principles before the Bible was ever put together? Even when there were scrolls, even when the Dead Sea Scrolls, there were people who had principles long before the Dead Sea Scrolls, long before Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey, and before there were any other known writings throughout this world. Before the Bible, there were human nature, and still is, yes. And the Creator being the author of love, we had principles that were instilled throughout the universe. No book can contain the true essence of God. Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. No book can contain the Creator. And as we look back at ancient civilization, particularly in Kemet, they not only had a god, but they had a goddess. That makes more sense to me, because you know the church is definitely patriarchal. The church is set up for men. The male gender is the dominant species. And I don't agree with many things in the Catholic Church, but when I hear them talk about Mary, Mother of God, blessed are the fruit of your womb, it makes me feel good about that statement, because a lot of times we don't even show respect to the women, to our women, as we should, even by nature. And sometimes they don't show respect to us, but women are great. And this is written long before the Bible, how great the woman is in our culture, in our civilization. Long before the Bible, as Willie said, people have the essence of God within them when we are born into this world. And I know we fight all of our lives for freedom, but we are born free. When we come here, we are born free, and we lose a little bit of that freedom as we get older, because we buy into the lies that people tell us. But I'm thankful that we have this opportunity, brothers, to get together and discuss this. I'm going to end my stream here. Until next time, thank you for your comments. I wish you love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. And as you proceed in your spiritual walk, I pray that you will help me to understand how to use the information that came before the Bible. Because if we just go to the Bible and stay there and come forward, we're missing out on thousands of years of civilization that were glorious. And some things were accomplished among those civilizations that have never been accomplished again. Some people say they had aliens, extraterrestrials helping them. I don't know, but I know they accomplished much. And we're going to talk more about this, about the church that was started in Ethiopia 150 years before there was any talk of Jesus, because these things, many of these things that we do today, most of these things that we do today, came out of the councils that were ordered by the Church of the Roman Catholics. I wish you love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. Until next time, God bless you.